This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 1216 of Horse Tip Daily, your almost everyday morsel of helpful hints, useful facts, and practical techniques for horse folks. Brought to you today by Kentucky Performance Products. Greetings, horse people. Coach Jen here, and thanks for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily. Today's tip features Megan Ayrault with some great techniques for using massage and how it can benefit your horse during those dreary, cold winter months. And we'll get right to our tip after this from Kentucky Performance Products.
Her life was falling apart around her, but when she saw his sweet face and heard the low nicker, the pain eased. She stood in the stall for some time, running a brush over his sleek coat, down his powerful muscles and over his tight, cool tendons. He cocked his back leg, waiting patiently. She scratched his favorite spot and was rewarded with a crinkled smile and outstretched neck. The stress flowed from her body, and she knew with him in her life, she would make it through. This love story is brought to you by Endure Extra, providing high-fat calories, direct-fed microbials, and natural vitamin E to support optimal condition and performance. The horse that matters to you matters to Kentucky Performance Products. Call 859-873-2974 or visit kppusa.com to order today.
Well, hi, Megan, and welcome back to Horse Tip Daily. We always appreciate you coming on.
All right. Thanks, Glenn. Yeah, I'd love to be here.
Well, it's that time of year right now. It's winter time, and you get a little bit of winter where you are up in the great Northwest, and we get a little bit of winter here in the East, obviously. Do you find that horses need more massaging at a certain time of year? Does seasons make a difference?
Well, I'd say the most obvious factor is that when the weather is better, which is also the same time that show season tends to be, when the horses are getting ridden more, they do need massage even more. But one of the challenges for winter that a lot of people forget about, because a lot of times they'll get massages while they're riding actively and going to their shows, and then in the winter they cut back, which is understandable. But it is also a time when a lot of the horses may be just standing around a lot more. And so if they're not getting as much movement, massage is one thing that can help give some of the benefits that exercise gives without the stresses that exercise gives.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are we talking about today?
Well, today I wanted to give a tip on a visualization for, I just think of it as thinking of your hands while you're massaging, thinking of your hands as antenna that can pick up signals from your horse's body.
Okay.
And if you think of your hands that way as receivers of information, you'll tend to stay a little softer in your hands and in your shoulders. You'll also tend to breathe a little better because you won't be trying so hard. You won't be as focused on what you're doing to your horse as what you're picking up from your horse.
Okay.
Because massage should really be using your hands to have this conversation with your horse, and it needs to be a two-way conversation to be most enjoyable and most beneficial to your horse.
And it's actually
and really
mostly
also more fun
so
for
what
you.
you're saying is it's mostly about listening.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you're just using your hands to do it instead of your ears.
Yep. And we also do use our eyes a lot, listening to the horse. So, watching their facial expression and their body posture. And so that's also important too. But sometimes, especially if you have a handler for your horse, you might even have some fun if it's a safe situation and you have to decide that knowing your horse. But to have your hands on your horse and close your eyes and just see, even just having your hands still on your horse and imagining them as antenna and what sensations or images or feelings, whatever, however the information comes to you. But what you can pick up through your hands on your horse. And then also when your hands are moving, if they're doing the long strokes, the effleurage strokes, or some other massage technique, there's countless massage techniques. But as you're doing a technique, to also have your hands be listening. And that's not as easy as it sounds, because we tend to get into doing mode and forget to listen. And as much as possible, you want to do that at the same time. But if it's hard to do it at the same time, you can alternate. Also, first do one for a while and then switch to the other mode.
So would you say it's safe to say that if you're having a bad day and you're all stressed out, it's probably not a good day to do a massage on your horse?
It might be a great day.
Oh, really?
But do be, because it might make you feel a lot better.
Okay.
And that may or may not, depending on your horse, that may or may not be fair to ask your horse,
right,
to help you feel better by allowing you to massage them. But for a lot of horses, that would be fine. They would enjoy it enough, and they are happy to be there for you.
Certainly,
so
I would think dogs would be the one that would really, because they're so pleasing anyway. You know what I mean? In that situation, I think, I know when I'm stressed out and sit on the floor with my greyhound and just sit there and pet and rub my greyhound, it does de-stress. I mean, it's one of the things that works. Whereas my cat just makes me mad a lot of the time.
Yeah, no, I'd say a lot of horses, it's going to depend kind of on how much they trust you. But a lot of horses, if they are, pretty trusting of you, they're going to be, like you described the dogs, they're going to be, there for you and be happy to help you feel better. If they're worried, if they're worried about their own safety, maybe it's because you haven't had them very long, or they have other, traumatic past or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But then it might be too much to ask of them to be calm for you.
Right.
Rather than the other way around. But yeah, if you are having a bad day, it is a very important point that maybe it's still okay for you to go massage your horse that day, but be aware, how are you feeling? Stand outside the stall before you go in. Stand outside the stall and just think about, taking some deep breaths and, doing as best you can to let go of whatever's making you upset, whether it's sad or angry or whatever. And when you do open the stall door, maybe stay at the doorway and wait for your horse to come to you. Be even more inclined to kind of give your horse the time and the benefit of the doubt. And if they do, or when they do come to you, start in, maybe choose slower, easier techniques to do that will be more calming for both of you. So it can change sort of maybe how you begin the massage or how much time you spend massaging, things like that.
Great.
Yeah.
And, I think that this is one, we've mentioned it before doing these tips, but I just want to remind everybody, because we always have new listeners, that this is one area that you probably should learn a little bit more about. We all take lessons in different things that we do. We take lessons when we learn how to drive a car, or when we learn how to ride our horse, or when you learn how to jump, or whatever you're doing with your horse. So it's one area you can actually have a professional out a couple times a year, and you can learn a lot from them, and your horse obviously will get benefits from it. Or,
Mm-hmm.
Megan has a book out called The Horse Lover's Guide to Massage. It's on her website at allaboutanimalmassage.com. I highly recommend that you get the book and you take some time and study it and do the techniques and follow the instructions in the book, and you'll just be so much better at it yourself, and you'll feel more confident in what you're doing. Wouldn't you say that's true?
Yeah, I do. And, I'm kind of addicted to learning about massage. I've taken thousands of hours of training between human and dog and horse massage techniques, and there's just really no end to how much you can learn. So it's really fun to get more information and to try new things. And it definitely helps your horse, even just learning a little bit of basic stuff. You can also learn some basic stuff more than in these short segments on the radio. But in my free ebook also, there is a free ebook on the website. And I also do have another ebook out now, More Massage Moves for Horse Lovers. So it's a continuation of the printed book.
Okay, cool. And you can
So when
find
you're ready
all
to
of
learn
that
more
right on your
techniques.
website then?
Yep.
And that's all about animalmassage.com. Well, thank you, Megan, and we'll look forward to talking to you again.
All right. Thanks, Glenn.
Well, there you have it. You can find links to today's guests as well as a lot more tips at horsetipdaily.com. This podcast was made possible through the generous support of Kentucky Performance Products and listeners like you. Learn how you can help support Horse Radio Network programming and qualify for auditors-only perks at horsetipdaily.com and click on the Become an Auditor banner in the center of the page. This is Coach Jen, and I'll be back again soon with another tip. Until then, go ride your horse. The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements of guests or their opinions. Use your own judgment when listening to the tips provided by the experts on Horse Tip Daily.